want to show another video. There's nothing to say hardcore like shooting yourself on camera. There's nothing to say how hardcore you are at shooting yourself on camera. So this gangster rapper, I don't know who he is. Forgive me for not knowing who he is. I just know him as a guy who shot himself on camera, is sitting here. And by the way, trigger warning for this. Ironically, trigger warning in case somebody is, a weeping willow. They're having an interview on air. And this happens.
And choices we got in life, those were your choices. Who shot who? Somebody got shot?
You good, Lo?
I hope.
Is somebody got shot? Yes. Look at his face. Wait a minute. And look right here. So if you look at the very bottom of the screen, you can see it. Hold on.
And choices we got in life, those were your choices.
Bam. And you can see it come out right through here, through his pants leg. That fool shot himself on air. That fool shot himself on air. For one, why are you playing with a gun on air? Why are you doing that? There's that. Two, how did he not know?
Somebody got shot?
Yes. Your boy, right here. And look at the look on his face after he gets shot. Wait a minute. Look at the look on his face. That's I think I just shot myself. That's what that look is. I think I just shot myself. And dudes are like, did somebody get shot? Somebody get shot? Yes, bro. Somebody got shot. Somebody got shot. What a stupid idiot. How do you even do that? How do you do that? Why? For one, why are you playing with a gun? There's that. Why are you playing with a gun? Two, why are you playing with a gun on air? Why are you playing with a gun on air? And three, how do you shoot yourself on air? And if I'm not mistaken, they continue the interview. They continue the interview. They keep going, if I'm not mistaken. After he shoots himself, I think they continue and proceed with the interview. That's just amazing. That's amazing. That is just amazing. That is quite possibly the dumbest thing, the saddest thing that has happened up to this point this year that has been on a war zone. Just idiocy, just outright idiocy. Boom. Who shot somebody? Did somebody get shot? Did somebody get shot? Yes, bro, somebody got shot. The guy who's sitting right beside you got shot. In the middle of the studio, no less. In the middle of the studio. I want to go to another story. So, yeah, we have a few minutes before Sabrina gets in. Brazil is doing God's work. Brazil is doing God's work. So, an Israeli goes to Brazil for vacation and gets a rude awakening when they decide to keep him for potential prosecution. So this guy that you're seeing in the corner did this. Look at this. This is an Israeli. This is Lebanon or Gaza. I don't remember which one. I believe this may be in Gaza. But look at what he did to this location. This is an entire block. Yes. Saw that right. They set explosives to the entire neighborhood and blew up the entire neighborhood because it's cheaper, I suppose, than just dropping bombs on it. Brazil finds out that the guy who did it is on vacation, and they try to hold him for potential prosecution for war crimes. They try to hold him for potential prosecution for war crimes. Good job, Brazil. Good job, Brazil. You are doing God's work. Apparently, Sri Lanka has tried to do something similar in this regard. Some of the reports have it that they're going to try to get this guy out of Brazil, basically try to serendipitously, that's not the right word for it, that they're going to try to quietly get him out of Brazil. Now, whether that works or not, I don't quite know. But that seems to be the story that is coming up. In another story, Justin Trudeau may be stepping down. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, hated Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, may be stepping down. He may be given his walking papers with this thought that he's going to announce resignation after the calls for him have gotten so loud and his approval rating has gotten so low that they're trying to get rid of him now. Now, I would like to point out that I have said on many occasions that many of these governments in the West are going to collapse. This is not magic on my part. This was not overtly intuitive on my part. No, what it boiled down to is this idea that people would accept a certain amount of propaganda as long as it doesn't affect them. The moment that it affects you, it's different. And I want to segue into a conversation about the US policy in Europe. Europe is getting taken for a ride. It's been taken for a scam. And it's shocking to me that Europe doesn't quite understand this and doesn't quite get this in real terms. And I mean this literally. Europe is being taken for a ride. They believe for some reason that they're working at the same ends or even keel with the United States. The United States does not see it that way. That is not the way we look at it. We look at Europe in a similar way as we look at Ukraine, or for that matter, as we look at Taiwan. It is a proxy, no more, no less. And as a proxy, it allows us to do X or Y to go after somebody else with us not taking the direct damage from it while putting that damage on somebody else. So in Europe's situation, you get a deindustrialization of Europe with many of these German companies leaving Europe and coming into the United States because they can't afford the energy in Europe. You get Trump threatening Europe to buy our gas that is going to be 5 times higher than what Europe will pay for, let's say, Russia. And even then, when they're getting the gas from, let's say, Saudi Arabia or India, the gas is ultimately still Russian oil that they're paying a markup because they're getting it from a third party supplier. Same thing with the weapons. So the US wants Europe to put all of this money, hundreds of billions of dollars, into Ukraine. Much of that money are just weapon sales. Weapon sales, if I'm not mistaken, 70% of which, if not more, are coming from the United States. So if you think about it, all of these things are effectively taking money from Europe and putting it into America. And Europe is doing this hand over fist with this idea of standing by Ukraine. Now, if you live in Europe, you live in Germany or somewhere, and you see your businesses leaving, you see arguments being made that your life and what you've been accustomed to as a life should take a hit for Ukraine. If you see all of these people coming into Europe, that is shifting the politics of Europe into a more right-leaning direction, not to mention the right parties are the only parties that are interested in not going to war and effectively doing what they consider to be in the best interest of their country. In this case, more nationalistic governments saying, why are we doing this at the behest of the US? Why are we looking out for our own best interests in foreign policy? The politics change. They shift. And they shift in the direction of something that makes more sense. So you have the Romanian government where a guy comes out of nowhere saying, I'm a nationalist for Romania, and I do not see the point of us getting into some kind of conflict with Russia. Okay, well, they don't like that guy. They hate that guy. They call him pro-Russian, despite the fact that he's taking a position that is pro-Romanian. Same thing, by the way, is true with Georgia, where you get a Georgian government, Georgian Dream Party, that says we are not going to be used as a second front to go against Russia. And of course, Europe hates the guy and they call it a pro-Russian government, despite the fact that it's a pro-Georgian government and they're looking out for the best interests of Georgia. I'm saying in one situation after the next, when a group will come up that will be a pro whatever the government position is, they cast it as pro-Russian, despite the fact that it's pro that government and that they're looking out for the best interests of that government. Same thing with Slovakia, or for that matter, same thing with Hungary. I'm pointing out that it doesn't take a mystic to look at a situation where you're deindustrializing a country, or let's say a nation, and I'm saying Europe is a collection of nations, and you're taking the resources and revenue and dumping it into the United States to the detriment of your own. It doesn't take a mystic or seer, or it doesn't take somebody who is all that intuitive to point out this is going to fail. This is going to fail. This process, meaning these governments, will collapse. It's that simple. That was the way I looked at it. I didn't see a situation where these governments were going to be able to take this kind of pro-hawkish stance to their own detriments and remain in power. If you look at it from industry standpoint, from an economic standpoint, the energy that was coming from the pipelines in Nord Stream, Angela Merkel fought for those pipelines because they needed those pipelines. And if you've been in Germany, let's say in the winter or something, their energy is already expensive. And that energy has been made that much more so. If you need to buy anything, if you need to buy toilet paper, if you need to buy baby lotion, if you're a puff daddy in Europe and you need to buy baby oil, it takes energy to make that stuff. And so you can imagine that if energy costs go up 5 times, somebody has to pay for that. The population has to pay for that. The government has to pay for that. So not only are you paying more for energy, but you're also giving money to Ukraine, who just stopped the energy that you were getting at whatever particular price you were getting it at. All of this stuff is damaging Europe. And if you are somebody who's sitting in Europe, who's a rational actor, you may ask yourself, why are we doing this again? How is this our benefit? How is this not to our detriment? Whereas America has its ability to make its own oil, not to mention make its own oil and gas, to sell us theirs for 5 times more. How is this our betterment? It doesn't take a genius to know that human beings and the way that human beings typically react, that even if they're propagandized to at a certain point, the pain will be too much and the propaganda will fail to reality. And that is where we are. Propaganda failing to reality. So the Schultz government, he will lose. He will be on his way out. Macron only has remained in this kind of fig leaf of power by blowing off the election results, and with these groups working together in order to keep out Marie Le Pen's party from taking power in that situation. And in the next election, Macron's party will lose again. David Cameron, not Cameron. What is his name? He'll come to me in a moment. But my guest is here. We are joined. There we are.